Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And Jeffrey seems to be having a bit of a love-in over Krankie. Lorna Slater was on the radio this morning defending Nicola Sturgeon, saying she was doing a fine job, and weirdly and astonishingly said that she was comforted by her during the pandemic. She said seeing her on the television every day gave her a little warm feeling and made her feel better. This woman needs psychiatric help, I suspect. I wonder, though, does she still feel the same now that all these revelations are coming out? That people died needlessly, that experts were ignored, that everything was done for political ends, nothing was done for the betterment of the people, and that there was an awful lot of shadiness, and an awful lot of shadiness is bound to come out, especially now that the murder police are looking into it. I bet the comfort factor has diminished somewhat. We'll take a look at this to see what old Jeffrey's been saying and to see whether or not it's a good idea, really, to keep defending Nicola Sturgeon now that so many people seem to be turning their backs and disassociating themselves. Because after all, somebody's got to carry the can. May as well be her. Here goes. So, Lorna Slater leaps to Nicola Sturgeon's defence as a spotlight is shone on the Green Deal by an SNP backbencher. Now, how could she possibly... She was on the radio this morning, right? How could she possibly, in the light of what's been released over the last week or so, knowing what's fully going on, how could she now defend it? I can understand her saying at the time, oh, well, I'm sure she's doing a good job, blah, blah, blah. You know, she had to show that kind of loyalty because of the Butte House agreement. But having seen what's come out in the last sort of week, how do you sit there and defend that? Defending the indefensible, effectively. The Scottish Green Minister claimed the former First Minister's daily briefings were comforting during the pandemic, despite bombshell evidence at the UK COVID inquiry. Jeffrey's a lunatic, isn't she? Absolute loon. Lorna Slater has refused to criticise Nicola Sturgeon or her SNP bosses in relation to the UK COVID inquiry. Makes you wonder which way round the bosses are, though, doesn't it? She's instead leaping to her former boss's defence. The Nats are braced for another week of evidence in relation to decision-making during the pandemic after a bruising few days. So definitely hit the subscribe button. You don't want to miss it. Hit the button, move it on out. We'll spread this. We'll get the word out because it's going to be a cracking week when you see the people that are giving evidence. We've got Sturgeon and Freeman. That will be the big one. The big two. Anyway, question marks already existed over how many of Miss Sturgeon's WhatsApp messages relating to COVID have been recovered. Very few, I suspect. And those that have been retained have cast doubt on her claims informal channels were never used to make decisions. I love the way they use the word cast doubt on her claims. I think they need to say, prove that she's a liar. We had Liz Lloyd come on, and boy, was that evidence a bombshell. Because Sturgeon always said, we deleted them because they're unimportant. Well, after saying she never had them. The story is, I never used WhatsApp. I did use WhatsApp, but nothing important was on it. And then I did use WhatsApp, and we did discuss important apps, important things, but no decisions were made. Okay, yes, we used it, and decisions were made. It's a whole series of lies, each one building and, going against the previous thing she said. You have to wonder what else is going to come out. Anyway, the inquiry has also uncovered evidence that the Scottish Government wanted to use the crisis to push for breaking up the UK. We had Lloyd again, we had Gove on another video this morning. He was pushing the same information. And the former First Minister's closest advisor, Liz Lloyd, said she wanted to pick fights with the UK government, said she wanted to have a rammy with them. The revelations have rocked the government and destroyed Miss Sturgeon's carefully crafted reputation. She's in pieces now. Everything she says now can be just looked at and straight away assumed to be a lie. She has told the truth at no point ever through this. Everything has been a lie and covered up and shady, and she can't help it. But now it's all unravelling. The lies are coming apart. The truth is being exposed, and the truth for her is ugly. The Scottish Green Minister, Lorna Slater, refused to criticise when put on the spot by BBC Radio Scotland on Monday. Miss Slater, who became a government minister during the pandemic, instead claimed Miss Sturgeon had been comforting during the dark days of 2020. If that's what you find comforting, you have a very, very strange system of thought, I think. Honestly, I think Jeffrey needs to get serious psychiatric help if she thinks anything coming out of that gash of a mouth of Nicola Sturgeon is in any way comforting. Not with a 44.5% increase in COVID deaths in care homes. And we know why, don't we? Let's hope that comes out on Wednesday. Speaking to Good Morning Scotland, she said it was useful for the public to see the process of government decision making. No, they can't, because it was all done on WhatsApp and they were all deleted. It would be great to see the process of government decision making, and if she hadn't have destroyed everything, we may well have done so. She said it was the kind of pressure people were under, and the very, very difficult decisions that experts and ministers were having to make. It wasn't difficult for the experts. What was difficult was the ministers trying to gainsay what the experts were saying, trying to ignore the experts, trying to do the exact opposite of the experts while pretending they were doing what the experts said. And that, of course, is easily done by getting your experts to be people who know nothing about the problem. But when it was put to her that the public did not have a complete picture because not all messages had been retained, here we go. Ms Slater said, I know, as someone who went through the pandemic before I was elected, it was really comforting for me to see the First Minister get up every day, give us the news and updates so that we felt on top of the situation. Now that doesn't answer the question though. She was asked the question about the deleted WhatsApps and she gives the answer to a completely different question. Let's stop the shit. You should stop the show and say, yeah, that's a great answer, but that's a question that I didn't ask. Here's the question I'm asking. Answer the question. If you're not capable, just say you don't want to and we'll move on. And then she'll have to go, I don't want to. And they go, that's fine. And that'll tell everybody at home exactly what you think. It's the thing. And I say it again. If they can't say yes, they mean no. Did you delete your WhatsApps? And if the first word is not yes, then it's no. Or, when you present them with a choice, they can either say yes or no. And if they don't say yes or no, then whatever they say, you know what the answer is. It's obviously the wrong one. It's obviously the other way. Are you completely honest at all times? Well, and the moment they say, well, it's no. They can't say yes, but they don't want to say no. So they'll try and find some way of not saying no and answering the question. They're all at it. Anyway, she was speaking as an SNP backbencher, said his party was coming off worse from the Butte House agreement. Now, a lot of people in the SNP are saying this. A lot of backbenchers are saying this. Kenneth Gibson, the Cunningham North MSP, who is... Cunningham. I read that as Cunningham. Cunningham. I don't know. How do you pronounce that? Cunningham, I'm going to say. I could be wrong. I've never been there. I don't know where it is. He's also the convener of the Finance Committee. And he said power-sharing deal between the two pro-independence parties should be reviewed. Because there's a lot of people in the SNP who think that the agreement with the Greens is damaging them and it's doing for them. And a lot of people are going to lose their seats because of it. They have a problem. And of course, the biggest problem they have at the moment is Humza Yousaf, because he's in a love fest with them. He can't get enough of Patrick Harvey. He absolutely wants to kiss the ring, doesn't he? Mr Gibson, who believes a big chunk of his SNP colleagues share his views. I think we all know that. I think we all know that there's a lot in the SNP who don't want it. He says, I think many of the things that the SNP government has been blamed for have been because of the Butte House agreement. Gender recognition, the deposit return scheme, and even the reduction in grants. It's the SNP that's getting the blame for green policies. But that's the price you pay for getting into bed with lunatics. There was an announcement that we're going to look at the abolition of council tax. Why was that made by a junior Green minister? Why was that not made by a member of the cabinet or even the First Minister? I think usually in coalition, the smaller parties tend to suffer. For example, the Lib Dems when they were in with Labour. Whereas in this instance, which isn't even a full coalition, it's the SNP that's come out worse. And asked to respond to Mr Gibson's comments about Slater and the Butte House agreement had created a new and different kind of politics, and that said the two parties were working together on leaving the UK and tackling child poverty and the climate crisis. Well, you're never leaving the UK because the people don't want it. Tackling child poverty, I think it's fair enough since you have been responsible for creating so much of it. And there is absolutely nothing you can do about the climate crisis because there isn't one. And we know there's no crisis because private jets are still flying. Once you've grounded the private jets and say, oh no, it's serious now, we'll have to ground the private jets, then, and only then, will we think that there might be a crisis. But until then, there really isn't, is there? I'm coming up. She's an absolute lunatic, though, isn't she? How on earth can she stand there and quite obviously say that Sturgeon is comforting? I just can't get my mind around that. And to say that she did a good job when she must know what now has gone on, and she's still defending her. She's not even in power anymore. What on earth do you think you're defending? And of course, the other thing is, with so many SNP backbenchers now calling for an end to this Butte House agreement, is she maybe thinking that if I show a lot of loyalty to the ex-leader, then the current leader may keep me on a little bit longer so I can enjoy my huge salary? Who knows? Who knows indeed? But she's not very good at her job. She doesn't need to be there. And it's not as though anyone voted her in. She really is out to lunch, isn't she? She is delusional. She has got no grip at all on reality. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.